What's up, sports bettors? I'm going to be taking you through some DFS player props for tonight. So that means we're looking at prize picks and we're looking at Underdog Fantasy. So we actually have a prize picks entry open. I gave out this 5-pick flex play. It looks like Raheem over 1.5 receptions was the last leg. So hopefully this cashes today. And then I know we had some heartbreakers on Underdog Fantasy recently. This Josh Hart, you'll notice right here, we had him under 5.5 assists. He ended with 6. That would have been a 10K payout for me, plus 6. That would have been like a 25K payout for me. If Josh Hart would have had under 5.5 assists, he ends with 6. So a real heartbreaker. But anyways, what we're going to be going through is just my favorite player props, DFS player props for the NBA and NHL games tonight. So essentially, the way this works is you bet $1 to win 6 for any 3-leg parlay you create on Underdog Fantasy. It doesn't matter if we switch this to an under. It doesn't matter if we switch this to a different player. You're always betting 1 to win 6 for any 3-pick entry, any 3-leg parlay on Underdog Fantasy. So essentially, they're giving you, as we've discussed, I know, in a lot of other videos, the implied price of minus 122. If you had a 3-leg parlay on a sportsbook where every leg was minus 122, you'd be betting 1 to win 6. So because Underdog Fantasy says any 3-leg parlay, you're betting 1 to win 6, the implied juice on player props in a 3-pick entry is minus 122, right? And that goes for 3-pick or 5-pick entries. So you basically always want to be placing 3-pick or 5-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy, which is what you'll notice we do, right? You really don't want to be playing 2-pick entries. You want to go with 3-pick and 5-pick entries on Underdog Fantasy because you're getting the best line, right? You're getting the best implied odds. So the first play, this game already started, but an example of a great bet that you'd want to go with on Underdog. We try to keep this YouTube, educational, explain to you why we're taking certain bets on Underdog, is what you'll notice here is all of the sports books have Troy Brown Jr., his threes line heavily juiced towards the under. So the under is favored. The under is a lot more likely to occur. All the sports books are setting this line minus 140 to almost minus 170 on Bet Online, which is a really sharp offshore sports book. So as a data-driven sports bettor, the way I think about this and the way you should think about this, the way people who bet on sports full-time for a living think about this is, wow, all of the sports books are pricing this at minus 140 to minus 170. So let's say maybe the market consensus is like minus 160, minus 155. We're getting this at minus 122. So that's a lot of value, right? That's an interesting bet, a play we want to look at. So what OddsJam does, right, is it just takes all these lines, from Underdog, scans them, and then puts them with either minus 137, which is for a 2-pick entry, or minus 122 on both the over and the under, so you can compare the lines to the sports books. So when all the sports books have the under heavily favored, and you can get it in your Underdog entry, that's a great play, right? That's a play with value that you want to be on. So we're getting this at minus 122 implied odds when Bet Online, one of the sharpest offshore sports books, has this at minus 169. So I know we do a lot of videos on Underdog Fantasy, and the reason is just that's where there's been value, right? If there's value on Betway, we'll do videos and content about Betway. So I did some videos on Betway yesterday, which is a new sportsbook in Arizona that I ended up signing up for. So I don't have every sportsbook available to me. I have a certain, amount of sportsbooks available to me in Arizona. So I'm betting where I see opportunity on sportsbooks in Arizona that I use. So first quarter money line, you could get the Seahawks plus 150 on Betway. I have no idea if the Seahawks are up or down. I have no idea any of these live plays if we're winning or losing. But I do know there was a lot of value on Betway, which is why we had a video about Betway yesterday. So Troy Brown Jr. is the first pick I went with. I think this, we can take a look. So it looks like he already has 1-3, so that's not exactly good for me, but I had this in a 5-pick entry. But anyways, let's go to my next play that I have that you can still bet for tonight, and it's Kelly Olynyk under 3.5 assists. So once again, all the sports books, every bookmaker prices lines independently, so what I like to do and the way you should think about it is you treat all these data points, you know, as kind of an independent, you know, example of where the line should be set. FanDuel is saying it should be minus 154. Caesars is saying minus 142. Bet Online maybe put a little more weight in them and Pinnacle because these are two of the sharpest offshore sports books. Pinnacle is well regarded as the most efficient betting market, the sharpest bookmaker in the world. They have this minus 150. Right? So you kind of take like a consensus of the market and you have all these data points telling you, hey, you know, all the sports books are pretty aligned, right? They're all, Caesars is a little less aggressive on the under here than FanDuel is. FanDuel has it minus 154. Caesars, it's only minus 142. DraftKings, minus 155. Bet Online, minus 156. So Bet Online's a little more bullish on the under than FanDuel is. So that's how you think as a sharp bettor. And you use all this data, all this market information to get a sense of, oh, it looks like the line should be set at like minus 150-ish with VIG. So without the VIG, it's minus 130 true odds, and we're getting minus 122 on Underdog. That's enough value to beat the VIG, beat the juice, and have a mathematically profitable bet. So that's the first play I went with for tonight, as well as Paul George's under 5.5 assists. Here, you know, FanDuel is extremely bullish on the under compared to DraftKings. DraftKings has the under minus 135, Caesars minus 160. So again, there's differences from book to book. They all have different models. They price things independently. But the way to make money sports betting isn't to watch highlights of Paul George. It's to scan the market, hunt for value, and hunt for these discrepancies in spots where you can get an edge. You're never going to win every single bet as a sharp sports bettor, right? It's all about finding plays with an edge where you know you're going to win long term. So PG3 under 5.5 assists, great value bet. You can see Pinnacle is extremely bullish on the under. The sharpest bookmaker has the under all the way down at minus 179. We're getting it minus 122. That's the next play I went with. Again, just using real-time market data to find value, find discrepancies. You know, the way I like to think about it is you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like all these sports books are data points telling you here's where the line should be set. They all have slightly different models, take slightly different action, but they're efficient betting markets, right? These sports books move around lines depending on the action coming in and stuff like that. They're efficient markets, right? So lines move and sports books reflect win probabilities through their odds. The fact that PG3, his under is heavily favored, is because the under is a lot more likely to occur. It's really that simple. So final play I ended up going with is actually this play, which I like a lot. Gustav Forsling. So we have a hockey prop, right? This doesn't just apply to NBA. So great. My Troy Brown bet just lost, but hey, whatever. So here's my 3-pick entry that I have. 2 unders in the Jazz Clippers game, and then we have a hockey player prop over 2.5 shots on goal. Again, just letting OddsJam scan Underdog Fantasy, find those few rare betting opportunities that are profitable, find 3 of them that look great. You're getting great value at minus 122. You're on your way to becoming very profitable on Underdog Fantasy. So, you know, happy to answer any questions, and let's make some money, guys.